Hello, dear friends. It is good to reflect from time to time rather than despair. Opinion piece. Why is it taking so long? The awakened are pacified. Truth raises the frequency. This has gone too far. Gentle disclosure to the sleeping, or to the sleepers. Don't fall victim to impatience. Our voice is being heard. The humanization of humankind. The world will survive after the collapse. Let's start. The two most difficult questions to answer are: when will it happen and why is it taking so long? No one has the answer to the first, but there are many reflections on the second question. Delay is the delay in fulfilling an obligation from the time it becomes due. Delay means tardiness, procrastination, postponement, slowness, and waiting. To delay is to retard, defer, detain, hinder, or procrastinate. The main problem of the galactics is how to bring such a broad spectrum of consciousness to all terrestrials under one hat. It is to say, covered by one strategy. To solve this problem, they try to feed a different narrative to different audiences with different levels of consciousness. To pacify the awakened, they push the narrative that it is happening now and that it is coming very soon, because that is what we want to hear. Because if we get too angry, we might think there is a malicious intent in prolonging things continuously and repeatedly. Some disclosures are of the opinion that the grey hats are bad guys trying to defeat the dark side, and then create their own dark side. But you can't generalize this statement, only that some white hats have become grey, because there could also be division and dissident factions within the good side. What is happening is that some white hats have turned black by dragging things out too long, either out of good faith or out of a desire to become new bosses. This would be a violation of the ethical principle of the greatest good for the greatest number of beings. Even if such a violation doesn't occur, everyone is responsible for their actions, whether in good faith or bad faith. The problem is that there is a covert operation going on within the good guys to expose the black hats, which in turn delays events once again. Deep dream. Finally, the galactics have the problem that a large part of the population is still in a deep threat density sleep, unaware that they have been trapped by an invisible spider of dark side control. This is why the galactics want the normies or sleepers to be awakened to a certain degree of awareness of this web before they can be told the full truth of the evil that has existed, or else their fuses will blow due to cognitive dissonance. The main reason this is so difficult to do is because we are all responsible for this evil to a greater or lesser degree, having participated in it or having tolerated it in our long journey as spiritual beings, and each must take responsibility for it. If these sleepers were blocked by not being able to process and assimilate the truth, they would never get to the point where they would be able to confront the evil that has happened, for which they themselves are also responsible by omission, and therefore wouldn't be able to free themselves from it or ascend to a spiritual level. The only thing we can do to awaken them is to raise our frequency, share good vibrations, Spread friendship, cordiality, sympathy, and solidarity. Disseminate true information and lead by example, for a picture is worth 1,000 words. We can also ask the positive spiritual forces to remove the bad guys who are infiltrating the good guys. This petition is most effective when made frequently and from the innermost core of the heart. This will hasten the coming of heaven to earth. Reset News. We are in the biggest intelligence operation of our time. You are witnessing a systematic destruction of the old guard. There are many banks in the world that operate with money laundering. The new gold-backed system will come into effect through China. They have organized these events to bring down the CCP regime and its banks. The state of Texas has declared its sovereignty and is asking to join the BRICS. Central banks are at the center of the global financial meltdown. A market crash is expected at any moment and bank runs are growing. The collapse hits the tech giants as panic sets in and the money runs out. The hammer is falling as they plan false flag events to create tension, distractions, confusion, fear and panic. The world will survive after the collapse and return to the original currency. Vanguard to liquidate mutual fund for first time since 2020. Facebook has cancelled its lifelong project to monitor people. TikTok, Instagram, Twitter and WeChat collect your personal data according to the Daily Mail. The Davos Forum plans to use smart devices in air conditioners, TVs and electronic vehicles so the state can turn them off when the grid is overloaded. Messages. According to Michael, false leadership has very real negative consequences. According to Mike Adams, globalists use false flags in plural to promote submission. In Didi McKay's message for the white hats, society is starting to fall apart. Do something fast because this has gone too far. Freedom fighters accuse citizens of having difficulty listening to evidence that challenges their worldview according to P53. We are all in trouble. According to TM, we have been placed here to observe events taking place and to invoke our freedom. Humankind is being pushed into the abyss, forcing us to awaken from this nightmarish dream. We are witnessing the dehumanization of humankind, and our fellow human beings are surrendering their God-given rights as creative beings without being aware of it. USA. New object detected near Alaska. Big explosion in Ohio at a metal factory. Chemtrails go viral after toxic train derailment in Ohio. Delta Force arrests suspicious tourists near Mar-a-Lago according to Michael Baxter. 2 men eavesdropping on Donald Trump's property were detained by Delta Force operators Saturday night, according to Real Raw News. Former President Jimmy Carter will spend his remaining time at home receiving palliative care rather than additional medical interventions, the Carter Center announced. According to the New York Times, Moscow takes over Central Asia. Together with Pakistan and China, Russia has gained wide-ranging security influence. Iran attacks an Israeli oil tanker in the Gulf of Oman with a suicide drone. Good and evil. Students at Asbury University, a Christian college in Wilmore, Kentucky, are praying in their chapel 24 hours a day for more than a week. Visitors are coming from far and wide, and the spiritual revival is spreading. It began on February 8th and has continued non-stop ever since. Some people call it a revival. Others say the Holy Spirit is gathering people from all over to witness and be part of something extraordinary. Germ-killing ion technology blocked. Scientist and inventor Weston Warren has been developing germ-killing and air-purifying technology for nearly 2 decades, but no one has heard of it or can buy these devices. Zoophilia could be decriminalized in Spain as long as there are no physical injuries that require a veterinary visit. Spain's law affirming zoophilia was pushed through by Ione Belarra Urteaga, Minister of Social Rights and Agenda 2030. The Spanish Congress of Deputies also approved the draft law on animal welfare, which prohibits the killing of mice and snakes that enter homes, as well as the use of rat poison and a penalty of up to 2 years in prison. Last Thursday, the Spanish Parliament passed a law allowing people over the age of 16 to change their legally recognized gender without medical evaluation. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.